it's Paul McFadden, and welcome to the Property Success Podcast. And my goal with the podcast is to inspire you with bringing on amazing guests so they can share their own journey. And we've got a father and son powerhouse here that have got a business together, and I can't wait to get into their story as well. So, first and foremost, welcome to the podcast. We've got Mark and Jack Anderson. How are you guys?
Oh, good. Thanks.
Good.
Yep. Thanks for inviting us.
No, you're
Appreciate it.
welcome. I'm looking forward to this here because we were having a little chat before kicking off the podcast and just hearing about your own journey. And we'll get into your backgrounds because I always think it's great to go back to what it was for you guys pre-property, because a lot of people get interested in the sense of, well, what was the journey for someone? What was their background? But more importantly, what got them to take that next step to get into property? And then I can't wait to get into talk about what you guys are doing, because you guys have been doing unbelievable things in what I would say is a very short period of time. Because you started in your property journey about a year and a half ago. Would that be right to
Yeah.
say?
Yeah.
Aye, we did the jump start, then we did the Prodigy. So yeah, September 22. So yeah, things have been moving.
A year and a half and doing amazing things. But before we get into that, let's take us back to, I guess, your background prior to property. So who would like to kick us off?
I'll let you,
Well,
age before beauty.
aye, thanks very much. And on you go then. Yeah, I was prison officer, so 29 years in the prison service. Took early retirement in 2019, and just tried to get a couple of wee jobs after it, and couldn't settle down, you know. So I hate being told what to do, basically. So couldn't settle down, and then it was a case of, like, Jack and I always spoke about, you know, what we should be doing. It was proper. It was always popping up. So that was always in the background, you know, how can we make money and this, that, the next thing. So property was always spoken about. So I tried a couple of wee jobs, and then I went self-employed for a wee while, done a handyman job, quite good with my hands, and then yeah, we just sort of thought, right, okay, it's about time we did something, you know. So Jack convinced me to do a jump start. Took a bit of convincing,
Yeah,
I did,
I
you
did.
know. So I'm not wasting my weekends sitting listening to this guy.
He had
But-
better plans that weekend.
yeah,
but
I
once
know.
convinced
Aye,
him, it was-
going fishing or something like that. I know.
Yeah, aye.
So, but yeah, that was fantastic that weekend, and it just kind of changed our perception of things, and our thought process. So then we took it for there, aye. So, yep.
Good stuff. So Jack, was it you that pulled them along then?
Aye. Obviously, we've seen your ads and things like that on Facebook, you know, and it was coming up, and I said to you, and you're like, nah, I don't really know. I don't want to sit in a weekend in a hall listening to just someone talk for 2 days solid, you know. But I convinced them, and I think Christine convinced you a wee bit as well.
Aye, she did, aye, yep.
But it's obviously paid off now in the long run, you know. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So tell me a bit more about your background.
Yeah, so I was an electrician, kind of going off the back of school. Wasn't really interested in much in school, to be honest. Didn't really know what I wanted to do. And we just moved house at the time, so it was like kind of a new area. And we had an electrician in doing work in our house, and it's pretty much, we asked him if he was taking anyone on, and then 10 years later, I've been an electrician all that time, you know. So yeah.
So I guess that from your background being an electrician, working in so many
Yeah.
homes, aren't you?
Yeah.
And that becomes a little bit of an appeal for many people who's in the trade, isn't it? You know, and if you've been a handyman in
Yep.
terms of getting out there, doing a bit of work, getting your hands on and things, you know, it's one of those transition things when you realise you're doing so much for so many others that why not do it for yourself?
Well, that's it, yeah.
Yeah,
Yep, just
yeah.
use basically the skills that we'd picked up,
Yeah. I mean,
you know.
for working on like building sites and things like that, and you're like looking at guys who own them. Obviously, you don't meet them, but like they must be making good money for property, obviously, you know. So, and I'm out in the freezing cold grafting, like wiring up houses where
Making
Get-
money for other people.
aye, not getting paid half as much as they would be. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That was a similar experience to me because with my background working in construction and some of the projects that I was working on as well, and you know, I started off as a general labourer until I kind of got pushed into going through university again to get my construction management degree. So then they put me into being a trainee site manager, so I got to shadow the site manager, and I was working for Luddens, and they are primarily a groundwork company, a civils company.
yeah,
But I got to work in the building division. So because I was in the building division, I got to work with all the kind of subcontractors, and we're working on the I guess the ground up, the building side of things. And for me, just similar to what you saw there, It's when the actual owner of the development drives up in their Bentley
Oh, no.
or their their brand new Rolls Royce, or even like Range Rovers and their
Yeah.
Mercs, anything like that. It was
Yep.
always really nice cars,
Yep, I know.
especially when the rollers pulled up. You're
Yeah.
kind of like, who's this? It's like everybody in sight. And it was so funny because we had some people in sight. I'm talking about other trades. Go, oh, there's the assholes there. Like, never even spoke to them, but they're just judging them working on their site.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, there they are, there. They just show up whenever they want. And they don't realize
No.
all the risk and all the work and everything that goes into the developer to get that in the first place, to then have the guys in there working.
Yep.
But I took the opposite effect. I don't know, I guess for you guys too. I was like, wow, I need to talk to that guy. How do I say hello? How do I get in there and say, how did you get this development? And off the back of that, that's what really got me hooked.
Yeah.
I guess
Yep.
that a lot of people who work in trades and do that, and you can see it like, how can I not be that guy?
That's right, aye.
And the
aye.
skills as well that you would learn from, like for yourself, like on the management side of things and dealing with trades, it just kind of transfers into on buildings, like your own projects,
Absolutely.
Yep. And that's something that I kind of took a lot away with as well, with being an electrician. I know how to speak to trades and deal with them and things like that as well to an extent. So it helped a lot, didn't it?
Oh, aye, absolutely, aye. Yep,
Yeah.
I know.
Good stuff. So you guys, after doing Jumpstart, came along to Protege. And before we get into your first deal, I always like to talk about the first deal that was done, and we can talk about how you guys went full time in your property journey as well. But how did you find Protege? What was that for you guys?
I never enjoyed it really.
Well,
No, I mean, I remember finishing Protege and coming up and shaking your hand, and I remember saying, "Listen, this has changed my life."
I remember.
So, I mean, for me, I always said, like both of us says, if we can't take what we've learnt in Protege and go and do something with it, there's something wrong here. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
So we got the tools that you guys gave us, and we basically went and used them,
For day one.
for day one,
Aye, it was-
and just kept pushing them. But obviously, that itself is a learning process, eh?
Yeah.
You make mistakes along the way, but yeah, it was for us and me personally, it was a life changing, thing. So it was just getting those tools that you never had before.
Did you see a mindset shift in yourself from, I'm not going along to that 2-day thing, I don't want to spend a weekend there, I guess a bit of skepticism as well, and then of course coming and spending 5 days, it must have been a bit of a mindset shift in yourself too.
100%, eh? 100%.
Aye.
Just everything you were talking about, like saying, like strategies and exits, that sort of thing, and what you can do, and the old assisted sale. We like the assisted
Yeah.
sale. Still to get one, mind you.
Aye,
you
we've
know,
been
but,
trying, but
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, things like that were just like, we came away and went, we didn't even know anything about this, and obviously you're fired up at the end of the week and you want to go ahead and get stuff done, eh? So yeah, just a game changer. That was it, and
Yeah.
it did change your mindset to say, right, okay, well, this is what we've done in the past, but this is what we could do now.
Yeah.
And the two of us are that way inclined, aren't we? We
Yeah.
are quite strong focused, quite strong-minded people.
yeah, I think as
yeah.
well, like if we never done it, would we have like one crap buy to let somewhere, like all money in kind of deal?
Aye.
Like so, like before it, we were sending each other like things on Rightmove, like just like a local like 2-bed flat that's went up for sale, and like just knowing what we know now, like we wouldn't even look at certain things like that, but like how far it's actually took us, with what we know.
We still
Yeah.
send each other things, and like you can always straight away you look and go, no, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
Move on. Let's get the next one.
Yeah.
So it
It's
does.
a
give you
skill
that.
set in itself, isn't
Yeah.
it? To actually look at a deal and then to actually look and do your due diligence, and you can do it quite quickly once you know what to look for and to realise whether it's going to be a deal or not.
Exactly.
I
you
analyse
know?
it quite quick.
Yeah,
you can,
and I
aye.
think
Yep.
that there has been a lot of feedback from Protege, I guess, because it's almost like before you do any kind of form of education or knowledge, it's almost like you're looking at properties and you don't know if it's a deal, and you're sending it people and you're hoping someone says it is a deal, and you
Aye.
don't know, and they have no idea about property and everything else,
Yep,
and it's
yeah,
one
I
of
know.
those ones that you don't take that next step until you start to get a bit of clarity and you start to see, and then you know what to look out for. So that kind of gives
Yep.
you a bit of a secret power, I guess. Now,
Yep.
what's interesting about you guys, because before the start of this podcast, we were just chatting, and I'm paraphrasing here, but pretty much you said something along the lines of, You know, our first deal, you know, it took us some time. You know, it took us a lot. It took us 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, do you know what's crazy about that?
Mm.
Like, you think that's a long time.
It
Like
felt like
that is
ages.
like rapid. That is quick. That is
Yeah.
fast. Like a lot of people don't realize that. Of course, you can get some quick wins relatively quickly, but that there is a quick win in my mind.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
Because the reality is that you come off the back of a course, right? You've got all of that knowledge. You said yourself you're fired up and you're excited about things. Then you need to go out and apply it. You know, for most people, you know, they don't apply things. But of course, when someone's made an investment in an education, it's just like if you're going to go and buy a property. If you're going to go and buy a property, you're buying it for what? Expecting to get a return.
Yeah.
So when you make an investment in yourself, which you guys have done, you're expecting to go out there and get that return. So maybe talk around about leading up to doing your first deal, because I believe that is quick, that is fast.
Yeah.
Because off the back of that, momentum starts to build, and that's what's led to you guys transitioning to be full time in your property business. So maybe talk about the first deal, the strategy behind that, and then we can get into a few things after that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, kind of off the get go, we were just like, we kind of put a plan together, like find deals, find investors. You know, we had a bit of money for our own project.
Yeah.
But it's like, what can we do? So it's obviously like a lot of marketing, putting things together, all over social media. Like you've probably seen our posts. Like we're always getting ourselves out there
Every
you know?
day, aye, every day. That videos and stuff. aren't they?
Yeah. So like, I remember certain mornings I was getting up at like 5 before work and going out with a big bunch of like handwritten letters and just plastering every door in the street, you know. And you were doing the
Freezing
same.
cold, freezing
Aye.
cold mornings, 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
You know, but the only thing about that time you're going out is like you think, oh, nobody will see me at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'll get everything done. Next month you're putting letters through the door and the dogs are barking and waking everybody up. So I thought, no, maybe not a good time to do
Yeah,
it.
maybe a bit too early.
Yeah.
So it was things like that, going around doing that, doing bandit boards, and a load of networking as well, trying to find investors. And then, to be honest, most of our investors were found just through like LinkedIn and Facebook, like social online networking, you know.
Yeah.
And then our first source deal came on the back of just Facebook posts, you know, kind of putting out that we give a referral fee if someone referred a property to us and things like that. And someone says, well, I know someone who's selling a property, I've seen you on Facebook. And I knew the guy that knows the seller, so he reached out to us and went and viewed it and kind of went for there, you know.
Yeah. So this was, I guess, someone looking to get the property so quickly.
Yeah.
I love what you just said there as well. Two things I like to recap this as well. You put in the work. Do you know how many people who start off in their journey and they just don't do the simple things? So the simple things for you guys was kicking off your marketing, putting yourself out there on social. Like, how crazy is that so many people are resistant to put themselves out?
I know.
And I guess from you guys, it's just something that you've just went, I'm doing it. I'm going to make myself social. I'm going to put myself out there. And this is a strategy that I tell everybody to do. Right now, it's good if you've been through a program like Proto, because again, it goes back to what we said earlier on, in the sense of knowing if a deal's a deal and being able to do your due diligence, being able to negotiate and make a deal work. But see if you just let people know in your social circle, let them know that you're involved in property, and if you know anyone that's selling, I'll pay you 500 quid, £1,000 referral fee. You would be surprised at how many people know someone who's trying to sell their home, they can't get it sold, and they'll pass it to you.
Aye, I know.
And it's worked, you know.
Aye.
Still works.
Aye,
It
I
is.
know. Aye. I always remember you saying you'll be that property person that everybody will know in your street or your area and that sort of thing, and it's kind of turned out that way.
Yeah.
People know us as that.
Yeah.
You know, if there's something's happening, we'll ask Mark, we'll ask Jack, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good.
Love it. So rough numbers on that one, because that was a deal that you sourced on to someone.
Yep.
Yeah. So roughly, you charge like a finder's fee. Did you have anything else in there in the sense of?
Yeah. So we had our sourcing fee, and we had a back end mandate as well in that one. So pretty much paid for our training, you know, in the first deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's crazy about, I guess, if you look at education and learning, you know, I think in Scotland we are spoiled because, you know, we have free education. But I guess if you're in England or in other locations, or if you want to go and study later on, you know, you're spending tens of thousands of pounds. You know, and for me, if I look at my IT degree that I had, And if I was down in England and my family had to pay that for me, or I had to take out student loans and everything else, although I did still take out a student loan when I was younger as well, you know, it's tens of thousands of pounds, putting yourself into a mountain of debt.
Yeah.
And the reality is that you come out with a degree and everything you learned at university is out of date.
Aye.
You
That's
know,
right.
and that's the same for most things. And this is what I talk about in terms of an education and a skill set that you guys have clearly done in the sense of property as such. Because property is where you're making an investment, you're building a business.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with going investing in a trade. There's nothing wrong with going investing in a new skill set that's going to help what you're doing. But for a lot that I teach, and I guess you guys had, you know, you've heard me talk about this, is that the what property can do for you in terms of bringing in an income, building a business,
Yep.
you can transition from working into working on your business relatively quickly.
Yep.
So no longer are you exchanging your time for money. So if you're always going to invest in a skill set where you're going to still have to exchange your time, you might make more money, but you're kind of capped.
Yeah.
So it's amazing how you've seen that perspective in the sense of, well, my first deal that I secured in 5 months paid the investment in the course, but that course that you've invested in yourself is not something that's out of date.
Yeah.
It's been something that I've been using and had many other people come through for
Yep.
now 14 years.
Yeah.
And we're going to be continuing with this as we go along. And the amount of success rates are unbelievable. And it allows you to pay yourselves over and over and over again.
Does.
Yeah.
And well, first and foremost, respect for you guys to actually make that commitment and to see it. It's great that you got that relatively quick win, 5 months. It was like in my mind is that's fast. And then it wasn't too long, am I right, that you went full time in property? Is that right? Because you really honed in on this deal trading side of things.
That was you,
Yeah.
eh? Yeah.
Yeah. So you were kind of already retired. So
Yeah.
you were.
Joined the life.
Yeah. Well, you were grafting away though.
Yeah,
You know.
exactly. Aye.
And I was still working my full-time job, and that was kind of the plan, was like to get us both full-time in it so we can really focus in on the business rather than, you know, just my job on the side and things like that, you know. So I mean I had a job as an electrician with another company, but it was a lot of overtime and like on call and things like that, so it's quite hard to balance it, you know. So the start of last year I took a bit of a pay cut, but the job gave me more time. Like it was quite easy. I was in the van all day, like on the phone to yourself, like trying to find deals and things like that, you know. So that kind of accelerated us a lot as well with that side of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. And it was just we could see what we could do with that time, eh? So that's
Yeah,
what, you know. So you decided 1st of January or something like that. You
Yeah,
wanted
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Was it finished? You
The
know,
end of
so,
last year, it was
yeah.
like
Yeah.
that's it. I'm not going back.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I never go back. So
Yeah.
But we
Yeah.
built up a little bit of cash in
yeah,
the bank, eh, and we thought, right, okay, that's enough, and we know that there's a cash flow coming in as well with our deals,
Yeah.
so it was safe to do it. Eh?
yeah,
You know,
exactly.
we did calculate, right, okay, now's the time.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
proof of concept, isn't it? When you've done your first deal, that's what I always say. If your first deal takes you 5 months, takes you 9 months, takes you 2, whatever, right? As long as that first deal, you stay focused on it and make it happen, it's so surprising how quick the next deal comes.
Oh, aye.
Because you've learned so much going through the process to get the first one,
Yep.
and momentum starts to take effect.
Yeah,
So we were talking about just before the podcast, you're equivalent to 1 deal a week at the moment.
yeah. One sometimes two. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yep.
it can vary, but
Yeah, it can, aye. Aye.
Yeah.
keeps
Yep.
us busy.
And the good thing is not only you're doing the whole deal trades in terms of building portfolios for other people, sourcing deals for them. You're building your network again, and
Aye.
I always talk about this. The best platforms to be on is, well, social media, of course, but LinkedIn. You said that you've got a lot of success from
Yeah.
that as well,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
again, you can attract a lot of people there too. And then off the back of that, you guys got yourself into a flip. And there's a bit of a story in there, because one of the things I love about talking about these podcasts is the good, bad, and ugly, you know, and the lessons learned in there. And it never went as straightforward as you'd hoped it would be. Still made profit, which is good.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it'd be good just to have a little chat around that. And I guess for those that are listening in, some of the lessons learned that you guys had through that process, that if you were to do it all over again, which I'm
Yeah.
sure you will do for your
Yeah.
next ones, you know, what would you do differently?
Yeah,
Yep. Yeah, well, the flip we got was a lovely old house in East Weems in Fife. So it was just like 5 minutes for the beachfront and that sort of thing. So a nice old 120-year-old house, but riddled with damp. Ceilings were coming down. It was laying empty for a year or something, eh?
yeah, just over that, I think. Yeah,
Yeah. So lovely project, basically, you know. So by this time, I got some, you know, friendly with a couple of builders, and I was always sending them pictures of houses that were going in, you know, how much is this refurb, how much is that refurb, and he would come back all the time, you know, and he was quite good with his information. So he says, right, we'll use these guys as our builders. So they came up and the initial look around the house and that sort of thing. And I remember you saying, oh, this house will need a rewire, eh?
Yeah.
And they're going, no, it won't need a rewire, it'll be fine, that's like the next thing, you know. But
And you told me to listen to the builders.
yeah, I did, because
And I listened
you know,
to you, and
I
it
were
was-
inexperienced at the time, going, well, they've done this, they've done that, you know, and, you know, so we just kind of went with them.
Yeah.
But little red flags started popping up along the way, and yeah, it was a 46-week refurb turned into 6 months, really. You know,
Yeah.
so in the last month of that, it was me, wasn't it? Up there every day finishing things,
Hanging
because
doors.
eventually the builders wanted to go into business with us, and you know, we says, yeah, that sounds good. This was back in the earlier days. He says, that sounds fantastic. Yeah, we could do this at the next thing. They were bringing funding, they were bringing experience in build. And but then even the little meetings that we were having, we're going, that doesn't sound right. You know, we don't like the sound of that. So long story short, we just said to them, no, it's not happening, you know. So they took the huff, and without our knowledge, when they came up and emptied the house of all the materials that we'd literally bought ourselves, you know. So, but anyway, that was water under the bridge, and we said, right, we'll finish it ourselves, you know, put them away, water under the bridge, move on. So we finished it and put it on the market, and we sold it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And you made roughly a profit on that
About
one.
15-ish. Yeah.
Would
yeah.
you what were you expecting if all things went right? A bit more.
Yeah.
But
25.
25, 30, we would liked,
Yeah.
you
We
know.
had to buy more materials and things like that.
Yeah.
And, you know,
yeah.
and just the finish, the finished quality, we could probably would have pushed the ceiling price up a bit more, you know.
Mhm.
But made money, but learned more lessons off it, you know.
Yeah.
So it was.
Yeah.
So-
That's,
So I guess some of the obvious ones that pop up for me in terms of dealing with builders, you know, sometimes when you've got someone who you think who has got the experience saying all the right things, you know, it's I guess that, and I'm sure you've went through this whole process yourself in terms of lessons learned and everything else, and you know, it's looking for good referrals. Does anyone else work with them?
Yeah.
And no doubt you probably got that as well, and you've
Yeah.
heard some positive things, and then it's looking at what projects are they existently working on, and more importantly, you know, when they get you whatever the quote's going to be for the works, like a scope of works, when are they going to start, penalties if they run later and everything else, like a lot of this stuff that
Yeah.
you know, you can, I guess hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
I know.
again, it's these things you're going to take into your next flip. It's great that you still made profit. Sure, it should have been more, and you got through it, and you got a lot of lessons learned on that.
Yeah.
And sometimes, and this is why I guess that what we teach at Proto is helping you do your due diligence, make sure you're buying something right, and having that contingency in there in the sense of making sure you're always going to have profits, you know, which is
Yep.
great that you still made profit in that.
Yeah.
Took a bit longer than you would expect.
Yeah.
But the lessons learned, especially on your first flip, is going to give you so much more in terms of getting into your next one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. You know, I mean, we'll go into our next one knowing that this is what we've got to do, and
Yeah,
you know, there's our standards are going to be even higher. I recently did the Refurb Academy.
Yeah,
So I did that
with Gary and
last
Andy.
week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, fantastic course. So I came away with, because this is how we sort of do our business. I do the refurb side. Jack works with investors. So we've each got a role to play. So we thought, right, let's enhance what I know. And that's what I did. So yeah, so coming away from that, we know that going into the next flip, the standards are going to be higher. And that's how we're going to
But actually,
basically go on from
Yeah.
then on, eh?
yeah.
Yeah. And what's good about those guys there as well is that they really hone in and teach you about the project management side of things
Yeah.
too,
Mm.
which
Yep.
complements everything that we do, which is amazing. So from that point of view,
Mm-hmm.
I know your next deal is going to be, you know,
Yep.
more efficient in
Yeah.
terms of working and dealing with the builders.
Yep.
Because what we don't want to do, which happened there, and
Mm-hmm.
I guess you guys know this as well, is that there's a big draw for many people to work in their own, you know, their own developments, their own flips. And for most cases, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But the end goal is to build a business where you're no longer on the tools. You're not
That's right.
exchanging your
Yeah.
time for money. You're coordinating it and working on your next deal.
Yeah, we couldn't really do that now, because we've spoken to a lot of people and go, yeah, you get on the tools and do this, but we're that busy through the day, aren't we?
Yeah,
Just
we would
doing
really
other things.
have the
you
time.
know?
Like we even said that project we weren't going to do anything, and at the start we didn't, but we kind of had to step in at the end. You know,
course.
it was
Yeah.
not our choice really.
Yeah, that was 4 to 5 weeks of me going up and you going up as well at the weekends, and just getting stuck in basically.
Yeah.
It would
So you did what you had to do to get it done.
Exactly.
Exactly. But it would have like maybe crushed a lot of people that didn't have the skills, you know, to go and do the sort of hands-on work. Like,
Yeah.
if they never picked up a tool in their life, then what are they going to do? Run well over budget, you know? So it's kind of
'Cause they-
handy to have these skills, you
They'd be
know.
trying to get other builders to finish it.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
but it is what it is.
That is what it
Move
is. Yeah, good stuff. So I guess that from you guys, you've been in your property journey for a year and a half, still going strong.
Yeah.
5 months in, did your first deal.
Mhm.
It was 9 months in from the beginning that you started making that transition. I know you were already retired, but basically full time in your
Yeah.
property business. A question I've got: how is it working together as family, father and son?
It's good.
It is good, aye. It is. We've always had a good relationship,
Yeah, sure.
you know, so it's good because we like to goof about, we like to, but we know that things have got to get done, so we hold each other accountable.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm always texting you, have you done this today? And you're texting me. But now we've took her an office, so we're in the same room. So it's quite good to be in that environment together.
Get out
as
of the
well.
house, get into like just a working environment.
Aye.
It's
you
a
know?
different environment, you know,
Yeah.
because you're in that one room and you're throwing ideas, you know, and you're writing stuff up and the boards and stuff like that, and right, okay, what do you think of this? What do you think of that?
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
getting distracted by going downstairs to do dishes or like just wee things like
Yeah,
that.
it's
It takes you away.
amazing. It's amazing how much distraction you can have in the house,
Yeah.
isn't it? You know, so just getting out and having your own office space,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
makes a big difference.
So
So
yeah, we got on all right.
Yeah.
We do.
You Andy lucky. The office is just 2 minutes drive round for his house. So
Oh, it's fantastic.
I'm
I know.
like 15 minutes. He's he keep
Walking
walking.
distance, I know.
Yeah.
I know. I never meant it that way. It's just a way to walk, you know. So yeah.
no, it's brilliant. It really is. It's good. I think it's amazing when I see any partnerships, especially when it's family. You know, there's this old saying that a lot of people say is that never get into business with your family and everything else. And I've always found that strange because in my mind, it's like, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's people in my family I wouldn't get into business with, right? But in my mind, it's always like, there is certain family members that if the opportunity comes, why wouldn't I take a deal to them? Why wouldn't I want to work with them? Why wouldn't I want to do something?
Right.
And I often think about my 3 young girls in the sense of, you know, I'll never force them into doing anything. Like they will just, we'll do our best at parenting, make sure they're understanding
That's right.
all things to do with money in terms of being, I guess, because you don't just get taught financial education at school. So that's our duty to help that with our kids and to make sure we set them up and lead them and guide them the best possible way that we can do, but allowing them to make their own choices. And part of me inside is like, if I can just influence them enough about property and business, maybe they'll come in the fold and want to work on continue to build the empire and all that kind of stuff, you know. But it's quite exciting to think that, you know, getting to just have that enjoyment with family, you know.
I know. It's just getting. I mean, we always did stuff together, eh?
Yeah.
So I think, you know, it's you have, and as you say, as they grow up, it's like, you know, how much influence do you give them? You know, what do you want them to be as they, you know, as they get older and stuff like that, you know? But yeah, it's a big responsibility as a parent, but it's fun.
Absolutely.
It is.
You must be proud.
Oh, 100%, 100%. You know what I mean? You know, we've had our own story. You know, I was saying to Richard in the last podcast that I lost my wife, Jack's mum. So I think you were 14, I think, at the time. So that brought us together. You know, she had cancer, and so that just tightened everything up. So after that, like I'm always the person I focus on. Right, I've got a plan. So when she passed away, I said to Jack, you know, this is what we're doing next weekend. This is what we're doing in a month, and that's that. You know, so we always had a plan, and it just kept us focused what we're doing. You know.
Yeah.
So
I think as well, like keeping it with your family, you know, you can trust each other. You know, you're not going in with some random business partner where it's like, well, we obviously had that experience with the last guys and
Yeah.
taught us a lesson, but like there's no doubt in our mind that, you know, we trust each other to get the job done and, you know, whatever it might be, you know. So,
Yeah.
Yep. We've found that we've worked with people, and maybe people will go, right, I want to work with you guys, or, you know, I can help you do this or the next thing. Then we thought, we can do that ourselves. You know,
Yeah.
just learn something and let's just focus on it and let's do it ourselves. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
worked for us, eh?
yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah.
But kind of on the back of that as well, we're also looking at that kind of way scaling a business as well. And we're like, right, how do we start stepping back and employing someone to,
Yeah.
you know, if they're kind of running the deal sourcing side of things, we can focus on the projects, or we've been speaking about that quite a lot. But we're kind
Yeah.
of at that stage. We need to be doing more and making more until we bring someone in. But
Yeah.
we're getting there, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
What's amazing about what you're saying there as well is that you're a year and a half in your journey. You've already accomplished more in a year and a half than I did my first year and a half in my journey. And you're on the fast track, and because it took me 5 years to replace my income and go full time in property, and you know, to start building a business, it took me many more years after that. You know, not having the guidance or support or even know how.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing to see what you have done in such a short period of time. Having that family unit working together to support one another and the greater good for the business as well, and what you are trying to achieve. And then more importantly, having that mindset at this stage just now in the sense of growing a business, you know, taking it seriously, getting the office, looking to bring more people on, you know, looking to you know, scale and get involved in more projects.
Yeah.
And as you're growing your network, which I know you guys are active in social, and I know that you're constantly going out there and networking, meeting new people. And that's just going to, if you just keep the momentum on that, you know it's going to pay you off. You know, it's going to it's just going to be remarkable what where you're going to be in even a few short years from now.
Yep. I know. I mean, we look at other people who've been doing it for 3-4 years, and think, right, okay, they're, you know, that's where we want to be, but let's just push the boat as you know, as best as we can, just to try and get places. You know, and we know we are. We look back, like when we did Richard's podcast, I was quite, Jack, I don't know if we should be doing it because what have we done, you know? And then you look back and go, you know what, we've done a lot.
Good reflection.
You know, good reflection, isn't it? You know, because it's that imposters thing. You know, I don't know if we should be doing podcasts because we're nowhere near ready. And it's only when you look back, you go, you know, we've done this, we've done that, we've got to know this. And then you think, okay, maybe we should do.
Yeah.
So.
No, listen, respect for being bold enough to put yourself out there, because you do have a lot to offer. And I'm sure that off the back of this podcast, you'll have people reaching out to you to potentially partner with you, do things with you. You know, I know that it's going to inspire so many people, that's for sure. So a couple other quick things before we round this up. In the sense of going forward, what is the bigger goal for you guys? Do you have a kind of clearer plan, or is it still formulating? What's the kind of plan going forward?
So, so we've got a few ideas. We've also like the development side, the bigger developments and things like that. But we also like the quick wins, like the deal sourcing and things. So, like I was saying, potentially, you know, we'll have the deal sourcing business running with some staff running on the background like that. And then where we can start taking on bigger projects and focusing on them. That's kind of what we enjoy, isn't it? Not that we've done many of them, but there's a few things we're kind of working on at the moment as well. That slowly getting bigger and bigger projects. That's our big plan anyway, you know.
I mean, that's the thing. We're looking at one big project just now, and that's a joint venture. But you know, we'll hold that back until we find out what's actually happening with it. But there's always other little things bubbling away that we're just going to, because this year we says we're going to hold more to ourselves. We've always been giving away, obviously, trading them on. But now this is the year we says, right, we're going to start building a portfolio. We're going to be doing bigger projects. Now the bigger projects are there, and we've been talking to people about funding as well. So we've got good network, you know, for our funders. So yeah, it's just, you know, we can see things just about to spring open, if you like, you know. So, and we've got other parts, as you said, parts of the business, maybe state agency, and you know, that's parts that we're looking at as well. You know, so
it's definitely, well, also like because we've got the office now as well, it's like we'll come in on Monday morning, and it's like we've got these great ideas, you know, but sometimes you can be distracted as well. It's having the focus
is,
on
yeah.
like
Yeah.
the one or two good ideas, like.
You're quite good at coming up with ideas, and you go, how about we do this, and maybe 9 months down the line we could be whatever, you know. But yeah, you're quite good at coming up with the plans.
Yeah, it's good to see that though. Like one day you've got a plan, and then we put together the plan how to actually implement that, and then you look back months later and you're like, well, we've actually done that. You know, we've
Yeah.
done what we said we were going to do. And that's what I like about that side of it as well.
It's good that you guys are using each other as sounding boards as well, because that's the whole idea, you know, coming up with ideas and bouncing them off one another, you know, having the strategy around what's the outcome if we go down this route, should we be focusing on this and everything else, you know. And at the start of any business, as it's kind of building, then you start to get consistency, then you start to hire the staff, then you start to look at the bigger projects. There's all the stuff you've just said that you're in the process of doing. So no doubt in 6 months from now, we'll be having getting you back on the podcast and
Guaranteed.
having a very different conversation.
Have us back.
Hold us accountable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
That's it. Hold us
absolutely.
accountable. Aye,
You know,
exactly.
I've got high expectations for you guys. Honestly, it's amazing to see what you've accomplished and what I believe is a relatively short period of time. So it's one of those ones you should be proud of what you've done, because it's unbelievable. But sometimes when you're in the thick of it, you forget about your own success, don't you?
Yeah, you do.
You
That's
know?
the thing. Aye.
So that there's a challenge for some people. You need to reflect and celebrate the wins, you know.
Exactly.
So how can people reach out to you? Because I'm sure people are going to love this podcast. In terms of connecting with you and reaching out, what's the best platforms for you guys?
Everything really, eh?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, we're on.
Mostly Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, pretty much the main platforms. I'm mostly on Instagram.
Yeah.
You're a bit more old school on Facebook, you know.
Old school. Old school.
Well, I always joke, I always call him a dinosaur with technology, and he doesn't like it. So
It's me that knows more about technology, mind you, but you're good in socials and stuff. But you know, we both do things in socials. I throw things into TikTok.
yeah,
You
yeah,
do
he's even on
TikTok.
TikTok now.
There
you
you
know?
go.
So
There you go.
I'm out walking the dog in the forest and stuff like that in Bannockburn and making videos and you know, just daft things, but things that
It gets you out
you know
there.
it gets you out there. So that's a daily thing for us all, eh?
Yeah, yeah.
No, amazing. Honestly, it's brilliant. What we'll do is we'll get your social handles, we'll link off in the show notes as well so people can connect with you guys. But it's been an absolute pleasure having both of you on and,
Yeah, it's
and
been
hearing
fun,
about
thanks.
your journey. We'll most definitely get you back on and maybe even do a deal breakdown as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ideal.
Sound good?
Yeah,
That sounds
yep,
good, yeah.
yep,
Brilliant.
Ideal. Yep.
Thanks, guys. It's been good fun.
Thank you
Yeah,
again.
thanks
Yep,
again,
thanks
Paul.
again, Paul. Yeah,
Cheers.
Fun, aye. Thank
Good stuff. And as always, I'm sure you guys are inspired by this too. If you get any comments, pop it in the comments below. I'll be sure to go in to respond, and I'm sure the guys will keep an eye out for that too. And be sure to go and follow and connect with them and reach out. So until next time, all the best and bye for now.